Hello. Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry, and today I'm going to talk to you of another underrated gem. Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, starring Forest Whitaker, and directed by Jim Jumash, I think his name is. And it's a story about a hitman who studies the code of the samurai. Um, he is a hitman for the mob, and on one of the missions he performs, he doesn't perform it 100% or at least completely. He leaves one of the survivors alive, and the mob that hired him wants him dead. And his master, or he claims to be his master, tries to protect him while Ghost Dog is trying to assassinate or eliminate the other mob members that are trying to kill him. This is a underground indie action crime gangster film with it has a lot of montages or just pay tributes to like those hood gangster movies and also mafia movies to ranging from Martin Scorsese's to A Bronx Tale to Menace to Society, but with samurai undertones. I don't know if undertones is the right word. And this film is a very, I would say, tonally unique movie. It's more like one of those quiet, slow-paced kind of movies, and this film is slow. It's slow as in it builds up the character, even though with Ghost Dog played by Forest Whitaker, who does stoic like performance, like masterful, and it kind of fits him. To be honest with you, it fits him. Where you are introduced to a character you don't really know so much. So this is kind of more of an art house action film that gives you more themes and the atmosphere than it is with character development. That's what how kind of art house films kind of trigger, where you get little to very to like none anything about the character, but you do care about them in the situation that they're in and how they're trying to get out of it. Where his character doesn't say so much, he mostly responds to what he's to characters. He mostly responds, but he's mostly talkative when it comes to these random, I would say, passage from this book, Henka Genkai or whatever. It's a Japanese book. I'm probably typing in where you have certain passages that relates to a lesson he's learned while studying the book, and how it may or may not relate to the next scene, or maybe it relates to the previous scene that he learns that might relate to what's happening in the film. And it does so with very, I would say, I don't know if I would say mellow, but it's done so to where it slowly kind of transitions onto the next scene. It's like you are learning something about that passage while you're watching the film. And what I really loved about this film is that not only that it feels different, but tonally it feels like something that you haven't really seen before. I mean, story-wise, it's a story that you've seen before in previous reincarnations of they're after me, I gotta get them before they get me kind of scenario, but it's more on the lines of, I would say, character development and atmosphere, where Ghost Dog, he learns the way of the samurai, and he see him living his life, adapting to the samurai culture, and it really kind of, I guess, I don't know, I would say if it has a big impact, but maybe towards the character, but how he is more, I guess, tuned to being at peace of learning another culture. And I love the aspect of other cultures, learning other cultures and learning and adapting more. And maybe it might be beneficial to somebody, especially if you're coming from a place of trauma and just maybe hard times. And I felt like in certain scenes or certain moments in the film when they explain or they show. There's a scene where the boss, the guy that Forest Whitaker protects, there's this flashback where it shows the boss saves his life from being beaten and murdered, and maybe from that sequence he owes a debt, like a spiritual debt, I guess, way of the samurai, that he is his master, he is his to go to, that protects him, and also he also gives out hits for. So the movie doesn't really explain if he understood the samurai code before, but I feel like that impact or that moment in the film really inspired his character to look after this man. What also, I don't remember the actress's name. She used to play Bernie Mac's daughter in the Bernie Mac show. She's also in here, but as a kid, came back in 1999. So you see her, she befriends with Ghost Dog, and then you kind of see her become fascinated with not only with him, but also the with the way that he lives his life. I mean, she doesn't know much about him, but when the moment where Ghost Dog introduces her to the book, the samurai book, she becomes more invested and more curious about Ghost Dog. The cinematography is great. I know I say that on my videos, but it's cool. It's pretty cool. The soundtrack, produced by the RZA, has probably one of the best scores, best soundtracks I've heard in any film ever. Like, this film is so cool with its soundtrack. Like it has like probably one of my favorite songs now, Samurai Showdown, and it played in the trailer. I remember I watched the cassette of Black Mask of Jet Li, and then they had that song playing, and I haven't seen the film before then when I watched that movie, and I was so fascinated with it. I thought it was a good beat. And then when I finally watched the movie and that song popped up, I literally freaked out, and I was like, man. And what else? Now, this is not really an action heavy film, art house action wise. I mean, again, this is more slow paced, but it has action in it, and it's more of the story. I wouldn't say the story. The story is kind of put on the back burner a bit, and the movie takes time focusing on these other not so memorable characters when it comes to learning about some of the antagonists. There's really not a strong antagonist, but I can tell you the film as the film moves along, it does kind of point Ghost Dog and then his calls his retainer or his master against one another kind of towards the end, like at the very end of the film. And it's a very, like I said, it's a very quiet film, so it feels like there's not a lot happening going on, but it there is quite a bit of things happening in the film. There is like a surreal vibe to it. There are certain characters that do act unusually weird, but it also adds to the humor, to the dark humor, and the movie is surprisingly funny. It's funny when you see the gangsters were reacting to certain things and trying to find and track down Ghost Dog. It's an underrated gem, an underrated underground indie film that does not get a lot of attention, but I think it's regarded as a cult classic for festivals, and I think for one of, I guess, Forest Whitaker's most memorable performances. This is actually one of his best movies. So I highly recommend checking out Ghost Dog. If you have seen it, comment below. Let me know if you have, what you thought about it. Spread the word. People should check this movie out. And let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.